Welcome to the CrossFit Max podcast.
What is going on, team? Welcome back to another episode. Or maybe it's your first time tuning in. We appreciate you clicking on this. Today, we are doing something a little different. We're talking tips, we're talking strategies on helping you all smash your goals as fast as you possibly can. Enjoy this episode, and of course, if you haven't already, please give us a rating and a review. It helps get our message out to more people, and we will greatly appreciate it. All right, enough talking. Let's get right into it. Phone down, 3, 2, 1.
Are we
We're live.
live? Okay, wait, quick question. Never mind. We'll just go with the flow. Forget the question. What's the banter topic, babe?
Banter topic is... Actually, I want to talk about you.
Oh, no.
Specifically. Susie's been killing it in the gym, guys.
Oh, thank
But
you.
also...
I was like, what is this going to be about?
But also, Susie has her half marathon in Ottawa next weekend.
Yes, or this coming weekend when you're listening to this podcast episode.
Oh, that's true. They'll hear it a couple days before you actually do the run.
Yes.
Tell them what is the distance for half?
21.1 kilometers.
All right. And how are you feeling coming up to it?
I feel good. I feel fresh.
You've been training a lot, both running and CrossFit.
Yeah, I definitely feel I am at my capacity for the amount of training in 1 week.
How many days are you running now?
I usually run 3 days a week, and I CrossFit 6 days a week.
Damn. That's a decent amount of training right there.
Yeah.
Sometimes I actually wonder how you do that.
You know, sometimes I wonder also, but I think part of the process that makes it very doable is having training partners.
You have been running with some pretty cool people.
Yeah, I've been running a lot with Malice, and she's also doing the half. So we're kind of working towards a similar goal. And I find having that accountability buddy and someone to also just suffer along with or enjoy an outdoor run with or chat with while we're getting our workout done really makes all of the difference.
Yeah, training partners make everything so much better.
So I just think
You're running it with Malice and Raf?
And Raf, yep.
Wow.
Yeah,
Running it with 2 doctors.
Yeah, it's true. I've got a dentist and a doctor with me while we're running, so I'm in great hands.
That is pretty epic.
And yeah, and they're both members at CrossFit Max, so double win.
Whoop, whoop. CrossFit Max members for the win. They're going to take over the Ottawa Marathon. Who else do we have running? We have Justin. We have Coach Justin running the full marathon.
Yes, his first full marathon, so that's really exciting.
He's been putting on a lot of training in that as well.
We have member Sasha coming to cheer for us.
Yes.
And member Julien coming to cheer for us.
Yeah.
And actually, one of our brand new members who's still in her foundations is running. Her name is Flavie.
Yep. I will not be joining you guys, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, you got to hold down the fort.
I got to hold down the gym fort here. Got to coach the classes, but I will be checking in. I think there's a tracker.
Yeah, there usually is. You'll be able to see online, and also I'll just text you. Mm-hmm. You have me on Find My Friends. You can track me during.
You better not be texting me mid-run.
Yeah, I'll just yell into my Apple Watch and tell it to tell you.
Siri, text husband.
Tell him I'm still good.
Yeah, I'm for sure going to be tracking you. What time are you running the marathon? What time does the half marathon go
The
at?
half marathon starts at 9 a.m.
Okay.
What's really cool about the Ottawa race is that the full marathon is the same day, but it just starts at 7 a.m. So in theory, provided everything goes well, we should all be finishing around the same time.
Oh, that is cool. And for the people who aren't really immersed in the running world, I think the Ottawa Marathon is one of the biggest in Canada, right?
It is the biggest in Canada.
The biggest one? How
I
come?
believe.
Why do you know why?
Because it's our capital.
Oh, that's why.
I don't know. That's just my theory. That's the story. I'm sticking to it.
Well, we also have one of the biggest ones here in the Montreal area, the Petit Train du Nord, which is very popular, I would say, no?
Yeah, it's not the biggest run because they're very limited because of safety on the number of participants that they can allow because it's like a narrow path.
Oh, I
the
see.
Petit Train du Nord always sells out, and it's like super popular because it's like known as a fast course. So it's sort of a straight line down a bike path. But because of how narrow the path is, the actual capacity is
I feel like we should tell the members about the Petit Train du Nord marathon story.
You know what?
Should I tell them? Should I tell them or
yeah.
you tell them?
You know what? I would love to hear your version of this story because my version is like slightly different. But let's just do a quick story time with Susie and Brandon.
We have been
flashback.
At the time, this is 2018.
2018, correct.
We had been dating for, I don't know, a month?
Yeah, like no more than 6 weeks.
So Susie was training for her marathon, first ever marathon.
Yep.
And I wanted to go see her at the end. And obviously a marathon is, anywhere between 3 to 5 hours long. If you're really, really fast, 3 hours. Yeah. And how long did it take you? 4.5?
4.5.
4.5 hours, which is still a very solid time. I can't even imagine running for more than 1 hour. So 4.5 hours is crazy.
It's definitely like a very average or below average time, but it was 42.2 kilometers. So at the time, I was extremely proud of it.
Okay, so flashback 5 years ago now. Brandon starts dating this really smoke show chick.
Oh, stop it.
And obviously wanted to come towards the end of the race. So I drive out to Saint-Jérôme, which is quite far.
40-minute drive.
About 40-minute drive out. It's like in the northern part of Montreal, I guess.
Yeah.
Kind of drove out there. Also brought Max, and Max was 4 months old, so he was a tiny puppy.
Tiny, extremely fluffy and cute puppy. Very essential to this part of the story.
So this is kind of like a small town. I'm trying to find parking. I finally find a spot, and then I'm looking around. I'm like, okay, it seems like this is where the finish line would be. So I have Max, 4-month-old golden retriever, trying to get to the finish line, and he wants to see every single human that will possibly give him any sort of affection.
Correct. And every
single human wants to give a 4-month-old puppy, golden retriever, all of the attention.
Correct.
So I wiggle my way through the crowd with this tiny little dog, this little puppy, this little cute puppy. Yes. And every single person that I'm trying to wiggle through this crowd to get to the finish line obviously wants to pet Max, and obviously Max is pulling to go towards them. So I finally get to the finish line, and I'm just standing there waiting. I have zero clue. Susie, I don't think we communicated before the race, like how long it would roughly take you.
Because I didn't know. It was my first one, so I had like no idea what my expected time was going to be. I was like, it could be 4, it could be 5 hours. I have no idea.
So I'm just standing at the finish line, and I'm just waiting, and then there's people trying to interact with Max, and Max is trying to pull the people, and so I'm just keep looking over at the finish line. I think I was there for at least 30 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
Minimum 30 minutes, probably longer than that, maybe 45 minutes. And I'm just looking and waiting, and then all of a sudden I get a tap on the back of my shoulder, and I was like, oh, I guess someone wants to like pet Max again. So I turn around, and Susie's there like, hey, we're done. And I was like, wait, what? I didn't see you cross the finish line. So you're like, well, we finished.
I was so sad. So while Brandon is getting
bombarded
with people and everyone wants to see Max, I'm having like this euphoric, once in a lifetime experience. I finished the marathon. I was running with one of my best friends, Flo, and with my dad, and all 3 of us held hands. We ran across the finish line together. I'm not even joking. My friend Flo and I were sobbing tears of joy for like having experienced this crazy thing. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, my dad is about to meet my new boyfriend who we've just started dating, and this is such a cool experience, an amazing moment. And I'm looking around into the crowd to be like, where is he? Like, he said he was going to be here, and I knew he was going to be there. And I was like, where is he? Like, he must be so touched by watching us have this crazy moment of pure joy. Yeah. And then I see him like off in the distance being literally bombarded by people. And
I mean, I was right next to the finish line.
Oh, he was right beside the finish line. I'm shook that he did not see us. Like, he was really there. He was great. The thought that counts, I guess. But anyways, by the time I make my way over him to tap on his shoulder, I was kind of like, well, the magic of the moment has worn off. But hey, thanks for coming. This is my dad.
Yeah. So did not get to see you cross that finish line. But
yeah.
Anyway, so that'd be a fun story to share with them.
That is fun. And that's really, I mean, things have just continued that way. Mm-hmm. Brandon hasn't seen me ever cross the finish line ever of any of the running events that I've ever done.
Yeah, true.
It's true love, guys.
Yeah. Oh boy, true
All
love.
right.
Okay, let's get in.
On to the show.
enough
Enough of the
banter
chit
topic.
chat.
Let's talk about the real reason why the people are listening today. We're talking about goal setting today, and
Yes.
we wanted to, I mean, this podcast is all over the place, but that's kind of how we want this podcast. We want this
We're a
podcast
little
to
bit
be
all over the
about
place sometimes.
ourselves. We want this to be about the business. We want this to be about the gym, the community. We want to give you guys health tips.
Yeah,
So-
and I would just like add on to that is for those of you who are avid listeners, if there's certain topics that you would like to hear us talk about or certain types of podcasts that you prefer, whether we talk more about the business, more about our personal lives, more about health tips, you let us know because we're really open. We're the people's podcast.
Hit us up in the DMs, people.
Anyways, but today we're coming at you with some more tips, some more strategies. It's a little bit
Strategies.
more whatever, you know what I mean. What's the word I want to say?
I don't know.
Method.
Say it.
I can't. Okay, I'm bored. I don't want to say the wrong word and then be even more embarrassed, so I'm just going to stop now. Continue. Moving on. Brandon, take it away.
So today we are talking about goal setting. This is something huge in the fitness and health world.
Yes.
As a gym, we hear people come in and they have these goals all the time. So we wanted to give you 6 strategies or 6 tips to get you guys hitting those goals that you really want to hit.
Yeah. Let's 6 ways to make your goal achievable.
Yep.
That's the story we're sticking to.
Boom. So you can smash your goals. All
Okay,
right.
what's the first one?
So-
First one's easy.
First one, guys, is super simple and it's probably like a duh, but
A gimme.
yeah, it's defining what your goal is. So that's obviously the first thing. So it's super important that you know what you want to do, because if you don't exactly know what you want to do, then it's going to be really, really hard to do all the other things after
Yeah,
that.
it's very hard to execute a plan when you have no goal or target to
Yeah.
reach.
So that could be like defining the goal. You know, the topic we hear often for members is losing weight or
Right.
running a 5 kilometer
Right.
or hitting a back squat of 200 pounds.
That's a great goal.
So defining what your goal is step number 1. You want to tell them what step number 2 is? Or strategy number 2?
I can't see our notes, so you're going to have to read them.
All right. So
Just say
tip
it and I'll
number
build off of it.
So building off of now you actually know what your goal is, which is probably the easiest thing to do. Number 2 is actually understanding your why. So why do you want to lose 10 pounds? Why do you want to run 5 kilometers?
Right. Well, I think like this is really the thing that's going to help motivate you. So if you just come up with an arbitrary goal that has no meaning to you and you have no purpose behind, then actually sticking to it is going to be really challenging. So let's use the lose 10 pounds goal as an example here. Why do you want to lose 10 pounds? Maybe for you, you want to lose 10 pounds because you want to make sure you're super healthy and you're able to run around and play with your kids and get down on the floor and get up off of the floor and just be an example of health to your children. And so for you, that's your why on why you want to lose weight. And so then in future, when you have to make decisions that are going to impact your goal, like committing to your workouts or planning your dinner or choosing whether to have a dessert or not in the evening, you're going to be able to tap into that why and be like, oh, actually, I must go to my workout because not only is my goal to lose 10 pounds, but my goal is to be an example of health for my children.
Exactly.
And this is going to really fuel your motivation.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to keep you constantly, it's going to be the thing that you can constantly check back in with yourself throughout the process. Okay, yes, you're right. I would really like a second piece of cake, but maybe I'm going to not have the second piece of cake because I'm reminding myself that my goal is to make sure I'm an example of health for my children and I'm here for the long term.
Yep, absolutely. And I would also add to that is setting realistic goals.
Right.
Is going to be important for your why as well. Sometimes we hear people say like, I want to lose 50 pounds.
Right.
Well, that could be realistic, but what if we like broke that down into something a little bit more manageable and more realistic, like losing your first 10 pounds?
Yeah, and just to build off of that, and I know we're going to talk about this later, but I just feel like it's important to mention right now, is defining your goal in the beginning. That was our first step. It's not just to lose weight.
Mm-hmm.
It's too broad.
Yeah.
So not only are we setting a realistic goal, let's say it's lose 10 pounds instead of lose 50 pounds, we also want to make sure that we're being specific about the goal. So losing weight isn't the goal. The goal is to lose 10 pounds.
Yeah.
And then,
specific and realistic.
Specific and realistic.
Boom. So that's 1 and 2.
Right.
Number 3, now we have our why. We know what we're doing, what the goal is. We have our why,
we're doing it.
And we are probably now at this point of like high motivation.
Right.
But motivation won't carry you.
No, it doesn't last every day.
Unfortunately not.
You cannot survive on motivation alone.
Yeah.
So step 3 is really to start creating a plan.
Yeah, so creating a plan, but building it based on behavioral goals. So the losing 10 pounds or running 5 kilometers, this is an outcome goal. What you need to do is you need to start backtracking and creating a plan to get to that point, right? So what you got to think about is like, what are the behaviors that I need to do in order to lose 10 pounds? Well, action plan number 1 is, all right, well, I need to make sure I go to the gym on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. Lock it in. This is one of the actions. This is one of the behaviors that I need to do every single week, no matter what.
Yeah.
That's going to get me, that's action plan number 1. You also got to think to yourself, okay, like, well, what are the other behaviors I need to do? All right, well, I need to start managing my food intake. I need to start improving on the quality of the food that I'm consuming. Or I need to start increasing my overall steps outside of the gym, right? Instead of taking the elevator, I need to take the stairs. I need to go for, a 10, 15-minute walk. I need to park a little bit further away. Instead of parking in front of the workplace, I'm going to park further away from the workplace. So step number 3 is really just creating this plan for you that are based on the actions you need to take in order to get there. And if you don't have that action plan, motivation is not always going to kick in, right? So waking up in the morning sometimes can be harder, right? So sometimes maybe for my 6 a.m. folks listening, sometimes 6 a.m. is the only time that these people have in their day because they have work, they have a family. So sometimes that alarm goes off at 5 a.m. and it's really easy to be, you know what, I'm not feeling motivated today. I'm just going to snooze. I'm going to sleep an extra hour and I'm just going to skip out on my workout. And unfortunately, motivation will disappear and that might happen. But where discipline happens and creating a proper action plan sets in place, this way you won't miss or you won't snooze through that alarm. You won't turn off that alarm. You won't have second thoughts about your goal. And you'll be able to manage it a lot better.
Perfect. I'm like, I have nothing to add because you just nailed that point.
Sweet. So
now we have our goal. We've been specific and realistic about our goal.
Yep.
Now we've broken the goal down into a plan full of sub goals, which are behavior based goals.
Yep.
The next thing that we want to talk about, the 4th point on our 6-step process here, is to make sure that we give ourselves a timeline. So
when
are you going to achieve this goal? Because if you say I want to lose 10 pounds, period, well, you could be doing that for years.
Yep.
So giving yourself a realistic but specific timeline. Okay, I would like to lose about a pound a week, let's say. So let's say we'll give ourselves for our 10 week, for our 10 pound loss, about 10, 12 week block. Put the date in the calendar, look ahead. That is a very realistic but specific timeline, something that you can work towards. And it kind of makes sure you're sticking on that commitment to yourself. It's just like if you were wanting to run your first 5K, sign up for a race, have a race day in mind, work backwards from the race day, give yourself 12 weeks or whatever it's going to take for you to prepare for that race day. We as people work really well, or most people work really well on a schedule.
Yeah, structure.
Give yourself a schedule. Give yourself something in your schedule that is fixed, that you have to work towards, There's no delaying. There's no changing the time.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. Just signing up for something always helps, or just putting
That's
a
part of
date
the
on
reason
things.
why I sign up for runs, even if I'm not necessarily looking to PR every event, having a target, having a thing to work towards in my calendar keeps me super on track.
Yeah,
Last week I didn't want to go run. I don't care. I got a race in 2 weeks. I got to run. There's no race isn't going to change the day for me because I'm lazy one day.
Yeah, and I would also say, like, even going to your run, going back to the full marathon a few years ago,
right?
You had a full training protocol based on the time in which you were running. So, like, you're running your first ever marathon on this date. You had
I went
like
back
months,
20 weeks.
20 weeks, yeah.
Yeah, I did a 20-week program.
Yeah.
I wrote out my calendar 20 weeks in advance every day. I wrote in my calendar the exact day that I was going to run which amount of kilometers.
Yeah, it's huge. And
it was so fun to keep on top of, because you could see your progress as you were going, which was all part of the fun, I guess, which we're going to get to as next point. But
I think we're just like creatures of habit too.
Absolutely.
So like if we have that timeline, we can create that structure and we can just stick to it.
And I think that's one thing. If you're keeping to a structure, you're keeping to a plan that you're made, you remove the thinking. There's no like, am I going to run today? It's like, no, my plan says I'm running 6 kilometers today.
Yeah.
It's
like
raining. It's snowing. I don't care. The plan says 6 kilometers. It's like you remove any decision making of that day when you make a plan in advance. It's the same thing for, I want to lose 10 pounds, Well, your behavior goals are to go to the gym 6 days a week, or whatever your target is, 4 days a week. You're going to go to the gym on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. So on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, you don't wake up and say, am I going to go to the gym today? It's no, I'm going to the gym because I've made that commitment, because I'm working towards my 10-week plan.
Yeah. Or even finishing work and be like, you know what? I had a long day. I don't necessarily feel like going to the gym. I'm just going to go home instead.
No.
No, you've created that. You've created the timeline. You've created the plan.
You know why you're doing it.
Yeah.
So then you take away all of the obstacles, all of the decision making. There's no decision making. The decision has been made.
Exactly. Yeah. So that timeline is a good way to keep us on track.
Right. And even if you're not working towards a specific running deadline or something where you have an actual race date, you can give yourself a fixed day in your calendar, circle it, draw a little heart on the day in your calendar, do whatever you want to do to work toward, this is my target.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it doesn't necessarily have to be like, I'm going to run my fastest, or I'm going to lose the most amount of weight,
Absolutely
or
not.
I'm going to lift the heaviest weight. It's just, it allows you to build structure around.
And I think something that we don't talk about often is when we keep these commitments to ourselves, we build so much confidence in everything in our life, because you can now trust that you are going to keep your commitments. And you build trust with yourself, which builds confidence.
Absolutely, yeah.
Side note.
So, timeline is crucial.
Next.
Tip number 5 is tracking. Tracking is a big part of understanding how you're progressing throughout the process, right? So you have this timeline. Now from there, you want to track and see how your plan is going, right? So again, going to that 10-pound goal, right? Maybe weighing yourself every day might be a lot, but maybe weighing yourself, you have a 10-week plan. Yeah, every Monday, every second week, whatever makes you feel good. But as long as you're tracking the progress, you don't want to get to the end of the 10 weeks and just hope for the best.
And we're tracking our behaviors in the meantime. We're tracking every time we come to the gym. We're by tracking the fact that we have ticked off that thing on your to-do list of part of your goal, you're holding yourself accountable. Some people like lists, some people like to take things off, some people like to log their results in Wodify, for example, for our members. This is going to hold you accountable, because you have to almost tell yourself, okay, yes, I did it.
Yeah, tracking is super important. I'm a huge fan of tracking stuff. I love watching my progress.
Me too.
In the programming here, we do like a lot of like progressive overload. So
Absolutely.
like I build out these 12-week cycles, and it's like, okay, on these 12 weeks, we're going to be focusing on, let's say right now we're focusing on the Bulgarian split squat.
Yes.
We're focusing on bar muscle ups, and we're focusing on overhead pressing. So if there's no progress, if you're just kind of going into the gym, or going outside and running, or trying to lose weight, and you're not tracking your progress throughout, you're not going to see how you're doing throughout the process.
Yes,
you know?
it's very validating. It's very
super validating. Yeah.
It gives you a lot of assurance when you look down at your tracking and you're like, wow, 3 months ago I was only making it once to the gym. Even though I was trying to come 3 times, I wasn't actually doing it, and I was only actually making it once to the gym. And look at me now. I've committed to my 3 days and I'm showing up 3 days. That's one way of tracking progress. It's also one way of being like, I was only able to do 10 pounds on my Bulgarian split squats, and now I'm already up to 20 pounds 6 weeks later. So you can track weights, you can track progress, but you can also track your own attendance. Hold yourself accountable to your attendance.
Yeah. Excellent. So that is tip number 5. And then tip number 6 is probably, maybe arguably, the most important.
This is the secret sauce.
This is it. This is the key. You guys listening, pay attention, turn the volume up. You got to be consistent. You just have to be. Consistency is key here. If you are not consistent, you're never going to get to your goals. And it's might sound harsh, but it's like the reality.
It's the necessary amount of harshness.
Yeah.
Holding yourself accountable, being disciplined, and being consistent is going to bring you to success.
Yeah.
No matter what the goal is, if you are consistent and you keep it up, you're going to be successful. If you are wishy-washy, you're not going to get there. You can want it as much as you want it, but if you don't actually put in the work and you don't actually show up to the workouts and you don't actually track your progress and hold yourself accountable, you snooze, you lose.
Yeah. So consistency is the key. It's the name of the game. You just got to keep being consistent.
And the more consistent you are, the more you are going to want to be consistent, because it becomes so programmed in you. For example, myself, I do 6 CrossFit workouts per week. There's no like, am I going to do 6 this week? It's just like, I do 6 workouts per week. If I can't come on a Saturday, like this weekend, for example, upcoming, then I come on a Thursday, which is normally my rest day.
Yeah.
That's just, you just always keep your routine, and it's going to be like a no-brainer. You don't have to think about it. When you're consistent, you remove all the thinking.
So these are the 6 kind of tip strategies we put in place. Quick recap here. Number 1, you got to define the goal. What is your goal? Number 2, you got to figure out like, what is your why? Be specific and also just be realistic. Number 3 is you got to create an action plan, right? So you got to do the things that are going to get you there. You got to work your way backwards from the actual goal here. You got to
what do I need to do to achieve this goal?
Exactly.
And then when am I going to do it?
What are the behaviors? What are the behaviors I need to do to get to that goal? Number 4 is creating the timeline, right? Timeline's going to add that structure that you'll need.
Give yourself a due date.
Give yourself that, circle that calendar, get it on the calendar here, or tell a friend or tell your coach, tell someone, create a timeline. It helps a lot. Number 5 is keeping track of your progress.
Absolutely.
Huge. And then number 6 is the key. You just got to keep showing up. You just got to keep being consistent.
Yeah. That's amazing. I think if anybody who's listening to this would like some help in coming up with an action plan, coming up with a goal, and helping getting a goal defined for them, maybe creating a timeline, maybe using myself or Brandon as your accountability buddy to hold you to a certain standard, to remind you to be consistent. You know, we're very happy and interested to support anybody, especially within our community, in achieving their goals and coming up with an action plan to execute their goals.
Maybe that would also be like a bonus tip. Tip number 7 is having an accountability partner or coach or someone. Telling someone about it and working towards that goal with someone always helps. That's a bonus tip though.
I feel like that's a great bonus tip. Speaking it out into the universe, saying it to your friends. If you're somebody who likes social media, posting about it on social media, holding yourself to accountable to other people can also be a great bonus way of making sure that devil on your shoulder doesn't sneak in at any point. But if just to reiterate what I was saying is that if anybody would like help in creating a nice goal for themselves, something that's realistic, and they just need a little bit of help maybe to come up with that plan of action and to have someone hold them accountable, that's something that we would love to help you guys with here at CrossFit Max. So please reach out if ever there's something you're working towards.
For sure. And before we end this podcast, I want to do a little shout out to our client of the week here.
Pew, 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 pew.
There we go.
Client of the week. Winner, winner, chicken dinner.
Before I say this person's name, though, I just want to say it is getting hard to do these every week or to choose one person because there's so many different people.
Whoa, what are you saying? Like we've run out of clients, guys. No, I'm just
kidding.
kidding.
There's like 80 people that I just want to shout out on this podcast here, and I find it's hard to just choose one sometimes.
Because we have infinite amount of weeks ahead of us, and the list of client of the week are long.
There was a few people that I had in mind, but that being said, the person that I wanted to shout out today definitely deserved it, and that is to Jason.
Woo! Let's go, Jason.
Jason is one of our 9 a.m. guys who has been super consistent. He's been here 3, sometimes 4 days per week, every single week here. He's a dad of 3. He's got twins and a newborn. He has his own business that he's running. So he is killing life right now, but he's also killing it in the gym. He signed up, so speaking about timelines, he signed up for 3 Spartan races. So if you don't know what a Spartan race is, it's like an obstacle run in like actually I think it might be North American. I don't know if it's North American or all through Canada, but it's a pretty well-known race. But essentially you're just running in up hills, down hills, through obstacles, climbing things, throwing things, lifting things, burpees.
Just like super epic.
Yeah. So he signed up for 3 of them this year. He just did his first one, which was the 5K. But not only did he sign up and he's been killing it in the gym here, he also finished 10th place out of 918 people who participated in that race last weekend.
Damn, Jason.
That is insane. So he's in the male category 40 to 44. He finished 2nd out of 71 in his age group. But he finished 10th overall.
That's
out of 918
insane.
people. That's wild.
That is so impressive. Really good work, Jason. I think something else about Jason that I really love is that he always shows up here in a great mood. He's always pushing super hard in the workouts, never complains. Today we had a new member, Eli, joining the group class for the first time, and Jason really seemed to take quite a while at the end of the workout today to chat with Eli, make him feel comfortable, make him feel welcome, and that is such a beautiful part of the community here, and Jason is just such an example of the all-around athlete, friendly, happy, pushing in the workouts, and then also just actually killing it, like 10th out of that, almost 1,000 people in his Spartan race is epic.
Yeah. So that was the shortest Spartan race he signed up for this year. I think he has a 10K the next one, and I think the last one he's doing is a half marathon, which a half marathon obstacle is
that's
wild.
Spicy.
Yeah.
So we're going to be keeping track of Jason, cheering for him.
Yeah. Go Jason, keep it up, dude. And also his sister just started the gym, Melissa.
Woo.
2 weeks ago, I believe.
Yeah, she's just hopping in the groups now, which is really exciting. So even more love for Jason, bringing his family members to the gym too.
Yeah,
Gold
awesome.
star.
Yeah. All right, let's end it there.
That was super cool.
Hopefully these strategies or these tips helped you. Again, like Susie said, if ever you guys need any assistance, we are here. You can check our website, www.crossfitmax.ca. You can reach out to us on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, crossfitmax.mtl, and we will respond to you within minutes.
Instantly.
We are waiting right now on our phones for you guys to message us.
Send it now. All right, guys. Thanks for listening.
See you guys in the next one.
Later.
Bye.